السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Masjid Carpark, episode 3. I hope you guys all doing well. How are you, Wajid?
Alhamdulillah, bro. What about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam.
What's been happening, ladies and gentlemen?
On my end, pretty quiet as usual. What about you guys?
I just got back from another trip out bush.
MashaAllah.
So,
Again?
Yeah, again, it was a good one. It was another good one. Went up to Eastern Victoria. Well, not too far past Sal, Traralgon in that area. And basically, I think I went to National Victorian Mullets Convention of 2020.
Mullets Convention, huh?
Mate, this caravan park we went into, just pitched up a tent, got one spot. I haven't seen this many mullets since I don't know when. It was quite an interesting Christmas period. So we went from there into, we just moved from town to town.
Okay.
Spent a day in an op shop looking at novels. That was an interesting time. The missus was looking her things. I love going into op shops and just finding random novels.
It's like every week you're always out, camping out in the bush.
It's just that
So
season.
jealous.
It's just next time you're coming with me.
Yeah,
It's just that time of the year as well. It's like, the wife's not working at the moment, so we've got time. And before the little one comes, got to get out there as much as we can. So it was a good time. Then we went up to, where do we go? We went up further past Traralgon. There's a place called Glen Maggie. Now, we turned up to this place, we're like, because we didn't book anything. Christmas time, we just thought, you know what? Worst case scenario, we had a mattress in the van, we just sleep in the van.
Yep.
If we don't get a stop spot. So we turned up to this place called Glen Maggie. It's on this lake, massive lake. It looked like, literally we drove in and I just said I looked at her, I go, man, this place is giving me the creeps. Right? It's like, yeah, let's get out of here. Right? Even in the lake, all you see is, when you see pictures of a lake and you've got like the stumps of trees just sticking out of the water.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a bit like that. So as we're driving off and we're passing this caravan park, it actually looked like a graveyard for caravans. I can't describe it.
That sounds very creepy.
It was like being used?
Not
people in
no,
it?
it was just eerie.
Oh,
Absolutely
okay.
not. It looked like just these old caravans, but you can see that, they would probably get used. After that, we just kept driving. We went up into Alpine country, and going over this bridge, we saw some people camping down the bottom. So we're like, I wonder how much this place is. Turn around, do a U-turn, go down. Met a guy called Tubby. What a legend. Tubby, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. Right? I don't think Tubby will be listening to this. Right? But he's just like, mate, just pitch up a tent. Amazing river at the back. Shaykh Khalid, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember O'Brien's Crossing?
Yeah.
So imagine that on steroids. So kids were, kayaks on the river. That's how much water
Crowded?
it was. No, not crowded at
I
all.
remember O'Brien's, it was crowded.
Yeah, no, this was nice. This is a big spot. So that was, and then drove back. So that was my my last week, really.
How far did you go? East?
Probably about 300 Ks, 200 Ks. Not far. It's just when you get into Alpine country now, it just takes a lot longer to drive. Had no reception. So
I took some, years ago, went with some students, Malakuta, Orbost, all those Far Eastern Victoria.
Orbost is beautiful.
Amazing places, and right up to Wollongong. But Malakuta, that's all the bush. That's where they sent the ship in last year.
Yeah,
The Navy. Right. The Navy went in to rescue people or take them out.
That's correct.
Because, I wonder how it looks now. But amazing place, beautiful. And we took these guys to these back beaches, Secret Beach and Pebble Beach, and mashallah, the whole day swimming and whatever. And then at the end of the day, we got our hummus and whatever else, survival food. And we're just sitting, we're just tired, swimming the whole day. And then this guy comes out of nowhere, full drive, and like this old German man. He's German, Belgium or German, I think, yeah. And just comes out of nowhere, out of the, just drives up and goes, Assalamu alaikum. What? Like, we're looking at him in shorts and whatever, and then he knows Assalamu alaikum. That's all he knows. He was a Muslim.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah. So we're just like sitting on a tarp and just eating hummus and beans or tuna or whatever it was, and This guy just drives up next to us, looks at us, he goes, "Assalamu alaikum." And says, "Subhanallah." It's a Muslim, not Muslim, but beautiful places, man. Those back
It's
beaches
amazing.
are amazing. Yeah, they're worth the trip, and subhanallah. But you just got to be careful because there's no lifeguards or anything in that area. So if you don't know how to swim, and it's very rocky, they're not safe sometimes. So if you get caught in a rip or something, there's no flags, there's no one there.
There's nothing.
Yeah, so you got to be
They're actually
extreme.
very scary beaches.
Yeah, you got to be very beautiful, pristine. No one's there.
Just don't go
Privacy
in the
special.
water.
But yeah, you can, but you just have to know what you're doing,
Yeah.
and you have to
nah.
know what a rip looks like and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
We went to one place actually down that way that 1990 or 95, Melbourne Museum, and I think it was Victoria University. Somebody discovered dinosaur fossils.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Whereabouts?
just past Cape Patterson. That's
Where's
the
that?
first place we stayed. On the way
Okay.
out.
That's still in Victoria, obviously.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
Victoria. No, we decided not to go to Sydney just in case we couldn't come back.
Oh, you can't, anyways.
Yeah, we couldn't. Right, so somebody found dinosaur bones there. So what this place actually was when Australia and Antarctica were close together. So it used to be this massive river, 150 million years ago. And this is like the riverbank, and there's all these fossils. So every year, the volunteers go there and actually look for fossils, and they just find the most random stuff.
So are they still finding fossils?
Yeah, they're still finding fossils. The place is amazing. You've got all these little kids running around because they read the signs. They get excited. Oh, I found a dinosaur bone, and he's picked up a rock. So that was it was a good place though. So, and then after that, yeah, that was it really. MashaAllah.
Keeping your time schedule busy, mashallah, during the holidays.
Yeah, one after the other. Speaking of schedules, how's your schedule going? How's the relaxation of your holiday going?
Not really. I don't know how to relax. I don't know how to switch off. That's my problem. I actually don't know how to switch off. Yeah. Like I'm
What do you
doing
mean?
planning for some madrasa or something, some project or something. I can't switch off. I realize it's a very bad habit, but like I can't do what you do, which is just sit and look at the
Thanks.
sky and trees and just sort of just switch off everything. I can't. That's very hard to do.
What do you mean? See, the thing is, for me, switching off. Actually, 90% of my time is probably switched off. So I've had a lot of practice at it. However, what about just sitting and reading a book, or just sitting and just chilling and watching the clouds
I think
No.
for Khalid, for Malana Khalid, it's just as much work
to switch off?
Yeah, to switch off than it is, to actually, get active.
All right, this is our mission. We take him out somewhere. No phone reception, absolutely nothing. And
It's
you have
weird.
to look
It's
at the
weird.
clouds.
Like everybody's on their holiday, they come to the mosque, and no, if you do that, that'll be torture. If you do that to me, everybody,
That was the whole point.
the mosque is the busiest now. Mashallah, kids
Mashallah.
everywhere. The stuffs are bigger. So like they're on their holiday, but for me as an imam, it becomes the most busiest time because then there's so many people you got to catch up with and talk to or whatever. It's good, alhamdulillah. It's not bad. Like masjid's full is amazing, but it's actually like more. Not work, but just more interactions, more people, and obviously becomes work in a way. But switching off is like I went last year to, where was it? To the kids to Cairns, to
Nice.
Great Barrier Reef and all that holidays. I remember seeing 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got like some madrasa plan going through my head after doing Great Barrier Reef. Like it was amazing because you're actually doing something, and that was, but you're actually doing something, snorkeling or scuba diving or whatever. But then you're like, when you come back to your hotel, like I'm tired, exhausted, but I'm sitting there. My brain's got to like plan and like I got to plan stuff,
Yeah, that's not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you reckon it's not normal?
That's not normal.
Yeah.
How about you, Lata? Is that what happens with you?
Not at all. Yeah. As soon as I get the chance, I can relax.
I'm very good at it.
I'm very good at it. Yes.
Yeah, I got to
No
do
worries.
like some steps, like go through a certain process of steps and things, and plan and break things down and analyze and read the news. That's why I probably watch the news. I consume a lot of news, and it's like to be aware. I don't know what it is. It's
Maybe you can start a group, Relaxers Anonymous.
yeah. I don't think that will. I don't think that will relax. I don't think that will relax me.
You know what he'll be doing? He'll be planning all the strategy and everything for the
On
group.
how to relax.
For the group. Right, guys, I've done the
maybe
research.
maybe some people are not supposed to do that. Maybe some people are just what I'm. That's normal for me.
Yeah, everybody's
Yeah.
wired differently.
Yeah, I don't think it's abnormal. I think it's probably normal for me, inshallah. Yeah, I got to just make sure I'm aware of other people around me, and make them sort of relax. Then when they want to relax, just leave.
Yeah.
But it's, for me, that's normal. Actually, it's enjoyable. It's not like,
look, it's not a bad habit, mashallah. It's not a bad habit. At least you get a lot done.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah, like this week, like alhamdulillah, because it's a weird time, because it's post-COVID. It's not really post-COVID. We're still in COVID, but we passed the lockdown. But like in New South Wales, they're in the lockdown, or whatever they're going through, because they want to have a New Year's party and they want to have Christmas. Or they're having Christmas now, whatever. They're trying to suppress their nafs a little bit, but they're not. Like you can see, like the different regulations. New South Wales Premier is mentioning. Yeah, like 50 people can gather outside, and 5 people inside, and 10 people.
Then you got the green zone, the yellow zone,
and it's just like here's a little bit of nafs you can have here, and a little bit of nafs you can have there, and it's like they're just obsessed with they're gonna make sure, because people are gonna, if they don't get this party. At least by,
it's going to be tough.
Yeah. The next 2021 is not going to start very well for them. And after post holidays, they got to get back to work, and it's going to be a grind. And that's,
and plus 2020 was a tough year.
Yeah,
I think that's got a lot to do with it. 2020 for most people that aren't used to, or that, well, actually most of us weren't used to this. Yeah. Aren't used to being stuck at home and not being able to do what you want when you want. That's a tough gig. I remember you telling me once, actually, about for the Muslims, how we are always like, when we go to a shop, we can't buy what we want. We have to check the numbers, the codes, the halal, and all that type of stuff. So we have some sort of training of, okay, you can't do this right now, you can't do that right now. But for somebody that doesn't have, that's not.
And that's Islam. That's the symbol. That's one of the symbols. I was listening to one mufti, senior mufti, rahmatullah. He passed away a few weeks ago. Someone saw a recording of his, and he said that's like do's and don'ts, halal and haram, permissible and impermissible, is a symbol of Islam.
SubhanAllah.
Like, see the new world, like the way everyone is, and a lot of Muslims are caught up in it as well. Sadly, that you can do whatever you want. No, you can't. You can't. Islam, actually, one of the symbols of truth and Islam is that there are forbidden things, and it's permissible, impermissible, halal, haram, and so forth. So that's like a symbol of Islam. That's of haqq, of truth. So people that and he was giving an example, and people don't like the imam or sheikh or alim or whoever. Tell them, like committees sometimes don't like being told of masjids. No, I'm not talking about my committee. I'm talking about other masjids. They don't like being told.
We love the committee of
There's people don't like being told. So he gave he said, I was on a like in Pakistan, they have buses, like, so the bus, it's like little vans or whatever it is. So he goes, I was on the van, and then we stopped at a place, being a Muslim country. I've led them in salat, and we prayed, got back. Then he asked me some question on the way, and I gave him an answer, and he didn't like it. He kicked me off the van. So that's like a little. He goes, he was talking about bribery. He goes, people, they, in the old times, he goes, they used to call it hadiyah. Now, like a student came to the madrasa to enroll in his madrasa, and he came from the northwest Pakistan, and from Kashmir or some other place, and he brought like almonds and like different types of dry fruits, because that's where they're grown and dried and whatever. They're expensive, and people appreciate them in the cities, right? So he brought them and put them before the sheikh, and then he was 3 months late for the New Year's start. So he said, this guy's trying to bribe me in the mihrab of the mosque, in the front of the masjid. And I said, look, you have to start next year. Like, you missed the enrollment period. 3 months. He goes, he rolled up all the dry fruits and everything and walked off with it. So people, we're trying to, people don't want to hear right or wrong. They don't want to hear in that framework. And ulama, generally, when they look at things, they look at it in that sense. That most people don't understand. Like, they look at it in terms of halal and haram. Most people don't look at life in terms of what's, like, if you put it another way, they look at everything in that what is pleasing to Allah, displeasing to Allah.
But again, you've got what you're saying there was for the ulama, but do you think a lot of people also look at it and go, well, I've got enough knowledge to know this is right, or we also have the thing of this feels right.
Oh no, feels is not. No, either you know it's right or wrong, or you don't know,
or you have different.
You don't feel it. Your feeling doesn't.
Scholars have different opinions as well.
No.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Scholarly opinions is a different affair. That's based on proofs and argumentation and solid. not according to your whims or your mood, or that has no bearing on Islam or Sharia. Like your feelings are irrelevant to what decides, especially core fundamentals of Islam. Like people are questioning fundamentals, some people are, based on their feelings or their likes or dislikes. That's got no bearing on, absolutely no bearing on.
I mean, that's
Sharia.
how it is generally. Whatever it is that you're conducting yourself in, be it any sort of professional field, unless you know what you're talking about, your opinions don't have any bearing. So
Yeah, but when it comes to Islam, everyone's a professional. That's I think that's one of the problems, or one of the situations we're facing today, is that everybody, even if you're not a scholar, you're a professional. It's like this, or this seems logical, or this makes sense, or well, that doesn't make sense.
Or they watch something on YouTube.
Oh, Sheikh YouTube, mate.
Look, if you study something from a proper scholar and you repeat that, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the problem. Like, who's a proper scholar? That's the issue. Issue is not like, how do we... Traditionally, there was people just go to their local imam and ask them, and he was trusted, and there's a whole society there, and there's ulama structure there. Like, his teachers are probably nearby somewhere. So people don't usually, like, people have reins on them. Like, Sharia's put rein, even on the ulama. But with the new fashion, like, especially the new Islamic university style of education, like Islam is studied in a university, quote unquote, not in a traditional setting with a sheikh and so forth. I mean, there are traditional sheikhs who teach in university, but what's happened is, like, universities, they're always trying to innovate.
Yeah.
Right? In, like, you're trying to further a certain field. That sort of attitude coming in Sharia, which is the whole point of Sharia, is actually the exact opposite. It's the polar opposite, which is to try to figure out what the Quran and Sunnah. You can't change the Quran and Sunnah.
Yeah.
Period. Like, that's full stop. You can't change it. So because you can't change it, you can't actually innovate the Quran and Sunnah. It's fixed.
Yeah.
And when it's fixed, till Qiyamah it's fixed. Application can differ. Like, there's application can differ in a circumstance, can change. But the law stands till Qiyamah. You can't change it. You can't. There's no wahi coming to supersede or to cancel out that law.
Yeah.
So it's done, and then we have to work with it now, the way it is. And it's there for our benefit and all that sort of stuff. So people that come along and they try to present their own sort of, there's a because of that university style education, that has a huge negative impact on this. So these guys, then they come out in YouTube and wherever, and it's not about them being great scholars, it's about them having the gift of the gab or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they
Popular,
they try to rock the boat, because there's a saying in Arabic, khalif tu'raf, oppose and you become known. Right? If you go against the grain, you become well known.
Yeah.
If you just go by the status quo, by the the well-trodden path, whatever, you go by what's already established last 1400 years, it's not going to make much of a difference.
Yeah.
You'll have to do something that, this is the general society. You have to become infamous. You'll have to say something. You'll have to say some strange thing and make yourself relevant or whatever to contemporary. And you play to the crowds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on. And some people saying Yajuj and Majuj is zombies, and yeah. These are some weird stuff you'll hear online, like people going really weird opinions. That's a small one, like there's some funny some funny opinions you'll hear online, but that's, you're playing to us, you're trying to get the likes or the views or whatever it is. And if you actually just say what's there in Sharia, like as it is, it's most you'll have to, you're trying to appeal to the Instagram, TikTok crowds, so that's,
I think also there's a lot of, on that note, the value of scholars, or the value of learned scholars, I don't think that's there anymore.
Yeah, probably.
People don't understand. No, not that it's not there, but
I don't
people
think it's
don't
just
understand
scholars.
what makes up a scholar.
I don't think it's just scholars. I think it's to do with qualified opinion or scholarly opinion. So even if you look at the whole vaccine thing, we'll talk about that a bit later. But if you look at, like, even doctors, like, people don't even listen to doctors about medical stuff.
Yeah.
They give their own, how many diagnoses are given in Masjid Carparks. Like, there's people diagnosing stuff. They don't know what they're talking about. So it's not just, I think people, especially this whole lockdown and COVID situation, you see how experts are treated.
Yeah.
And so it's not just the ulama, everyone, there's a saying, half a doctor what is it? Half a doctor, your life's in danger, and half a alim, your akhir is in danger. So half a doctor, you know, he's a half a doctor. Like he knows something, he's read something, studied something, or maybe
enough to what is it? Enough to get you into trouble, not enough to get you out.
Yeah. So, but they don't know what they don't know what it's actually dangerous that because you might be giving you will be giving incorrect and incomplete advice. But I think it's more to do with expertise and, you know, just something regarding masjids. We mentioned the good things like happening in Melbourne, like mashallah, many masjids this year. I think they probably more emphasized, like in saw something from Dandenong South, Darul Arqam, Mufti Ziyad, and them. They were doing some program like an itikaf program, a New Year's party. I don't know what they were doing.
New Year's Eve?
Itikaf, like an itikaf program and speech and talk, whatever. At the masjid doing ibadah. I mean, better we create an environment and go against the grain, do something that's pleasing to Allah. Yeah. Just we have to be mindful that it doesn't become like a New Year's is going to be every year. Then it becomes like a part of Islam, you know, like it's like something.
The New Year's even the masjid.
New Year's, it's good, mashallah. It's good. It's good. It's needed for the mashallah Muslims going into lockdown. You know, while other guys
that's
escaping.
Like the lady in Perth, and then you've got that guy in Melbourne as well. So the lady in Perth.
What was the reason they escaped from
she
quarantine?
Said that she doesn't believe in COVID. So after 7 days there, she didn't believe in COVID. She came from Spain. So 50,000 people have died or something like it's just crazy numbers in Spain. And then after 6 or 7 days, she just decided to do a runner. Big manhunt. And then she handed herself into the hospital. And her reason was she doesn't believe in COVID. The other one in Melbourne, I actually get with
she might get jail. She might get
$50,000 fine.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's potentially facing that.
Yeah.
The guy in Melbourne, I actually feel for him, but he's got some interesting reasons. He was in New South Wales for 9 months, but he left before the lockdown between the border lockdown between closures between New South Wales and Victoria, and he said, "I'm a Victorian. I've just been there for 9 months holiday." Right. So when he came back, he didn't want to do the 14-day quarantine. One of the things he did say, he said to them, "Look, I've told them like mentally I can't cope with that, and if I'm not these were his words. If I'm not physically stopped, I'm going to try and run out." And he was telling me in the paper he was saying there was only one person that actually listened to him, and that was a policeman after they arrested him. That was discussing with him mental health and things like that. So imagine how many people.
These guys are selfish because if they had the virus and they give it to their relatives, people, and train,
it would be a different story.
Yeah, this is extreme.
When it comes to mental health, I think we've got to give a little bit of leeway.
No. Who cares about your mental health when you're affecting other people? Yeah, you're affecting other people in society. Someone could get the virus off you, and someone could die off you. Yeah, but who cares about your mental health? Like when you're going to affect somebody else, if somebody could die.
Yeah, but he's not physically capable of keeping himself in.
Oh, he better keep himself in. He better keep himself in. And if you're not going to do it, put him in a cell. Yeah, you know, and that'll keep him in. You know,
I mean, speaking on that, like with the towers in Flemington on North Melbourne, they were in a hard lockdown for 2 weeks, and
nobody actually said anything.
No one said anything. Yeah, and it's like here's this one guy,
and that was a heavy-handed like treatment of the people, like
500 police officers.
That was
like in the middle of the night.
Yeah, just full on. That was a bit full on.
That was too full on.
Yeah, but that's not like. But the people who they complied, they followed the rules.
Exactly.
They were a bit annoyed, but I saw many of the statements of the people. They said, "Oh, we got to do it." You know, the people upset. Those people said, "Oh, you know, this is what we got to do."
Yeah. So I think people were just mostly upset about the way that they carried that.
Like heavy-handed
police presence and whatnot.
So you've got one group of people that are trying to escape lockdown, and then mashallah, Dandenong South. Everyone's jumping into lockdown for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it looks like
that. That's just flipped everything on its head.
My students went. 2 of my students, they were coming back from Malaysia, finish off the Adim course, and they went to 2 weeks lockdown. There's a brother I met the other day. He's been out of Australia. He couldn't come back for 11 months. He just got. I mean, he was working.
Wow.
He just got back, and he was in 2 weeks. Then he had to be in 2 weeks quarantine. He hadn't seen his family for 11 months. So he's, his family's in Melbourne and he's working overseas, and then got stuck in Nigeria. Nigeria's working the other side of the world. He was working.
No, apart from tough, that's random.
Yeah. No, he's working there for a multinational and company, whatever. He's an engineer, and he just got stuck there, and he couldn't. I was back and forth a little bit, chatting with him and stuff, and just cheering him up a little bit, try to. But he went. I saw him, mashallah, last night in the mosque. But you can see, it's been a rough. It's a long time that he's been away.
I'm just thinking after our conversation at the start of this, where how you can't relax, and I'm really good at it. The way the two of us would treat 14 days quarantine are two very different things. Molana would come out. He's probably sending Mars to the man to Mars. He's already worked it out before Elon Musk. I'll come out. I'll tell you exactly what the newest Netflix show is.
Oh yeah. Speaking of communities, Sheikh, I was hoping whether you can shed some light on what's been going on with Afik and Anik.
Yeah, every month there's something.
I've got a solution to this. I don't know much about it, but boxing ring. I'm going to get a lot of these tweeting birds.
I think, look, at the end of the day, the Muslim organizations, they need to, they're trying, but, they should be accountable to the community. And maybe some of them are trying, maybe some of them feel like, sometimes the organizations become a little bit elitist and they're in their own bubble and on their own pedestal, I guess, and sitting on their own laurels, whatever it is, they're sort of disconnected from, like the average Muslim looks at all that and just says, shakes his head and like, okay, that's our representatives are supposed to be.
Yeah.
So like this week, last week or the last fortnight was, Anik's Mufti or Mufti of Australia, as they call it. He, sent a letter to Macron. I don't know what was the need for it, but he sent a letter which was like get well sort of card.
Really?
Letter. Yeah. Like how Salahuddin Ayubi, he took care of, I think it was Richard Lionheart. He went and treated him as a doctor. So this is not.
So the Mufti is going to the Lionheart.
Look,
front?
I think they mean well, but I think they're just not maybe up to date with the latest politics and the history of, especially with the North African community in France, and what the French have been like till recently. It's not been a long time, and still they're meddling in those North African countries. The French brutalization of North Africa is well known, and then this guy hates Islam, and he really hates Islam. It's like it's not. He's got a vendetta. I don't know where he gets it from, but he's like really out to. And that's
maybe he got teased at school by Muslims.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, for wanting to marry his teacher. But that's that's what he did. He married his teacher. His wife's like 30 years older than him. It's actually,
is that right?
She was his school teacher.
Literally,
yeah. It's not a joke.
You're not kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. that's not a joke. That's whatever he is. I
don't know whether the high five this guy or just punch him in the head.
Give him that, whatever.
But
that's so bizarre.
So he's like a, and that's like to approach like then Afik sort of, or whoever their head is, he attacked the Mufti, but in a sort of nice quote unquote way. It was like a backhanded sort of thing.
But why are these guys attacking each other?
It's like passive aggressive going back.
Yeah, like what's the point of it? What's the benefit out of this? I don't get it.
It's vying for supposed in their head maybe supremacy or to be the peak body of the Muslims of Australia or whatever. I don't know. Like that's it doesn't even make it's if like you have to be accountable to the average Muslim, number one, and therefore you should behave accordingly. Like you should behave accordingly. Like you should be at the reasonable expectation of the ummah. Because you're saying that you're representing us, and so therefore you should you should be fulfilling that role, being independent, being non-governmental, not taking money from the government. People there should be a transparency, accountability. These are the things that people with some level of intelligence expect from their Muslim organizations: transparency, accountability. And to live up to the expectation of the Muslims.
But do you think, like with these organizations,
like who's funding you, where are you spending your money, what projects you're doing, your involvement with the governments should be clearly spelt out, so Muslims know. And there's a trust that will be created, and then your behavior should be in a way that obviously first of all is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and secondly also the Muslims who are the ummah that before that you're supposed to be serving, to make sure. And I think that will create longevity and trust and all those sort of things. And you know, it's something, Allahu A'lam, this is I don't know if there's a solution for it. It's like different jamaats and groups and maybe fighting amongst each other, like having differences and so forth. You know, maybe they just have to learn to tolerate each other, not change, but just tolerate each other. You know, but in a positive way. So
does the average Muslim in Australia though recognize these guys as their representative body?
I'll be honest with you, Sheikh. I only learnt about them through you.
There you go. That's exactly right.
I'm in so many WhatsApp group. Yeah, it feels like maybe I know too much about them.
I think you're because you're so in it.
Not really. Not really. I mean, I'm in WhatsApp groups. That's pretty much.
But what I mean is you get that communication or whatever about it. But for us, like, I don't know about yourself, Lata, but for me, it's just like, all right, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing? And why are you doing this? Because now I'm embarrassed by you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. More than anything else, I don't see you as representing me because I would not want you to talk to anyone on my behalf. If that sounds a bit harsh, apologies to everybody involved.
I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't want you to talk on my behalf, or maybe
I would
present yourself in that way on my behalf. At least be a little bit more just aware of, you know, the environment that you're working in and the space that you're working in.
Yeah, responsibilities. Muslim might feel embarrassed, especially young Muslims. They feel embarrassed by such tactics or statements, or both statements.
Controversial question potentially. How many of the guys on those committees are homegrown that actually understand Australian side, like born and bred here, or bred here?
Not many.
Do you think that has an impact on?
Oh, big time, yeah. Because see, there's a saying, that which you've gone through, you'll recreate.
Yes.
And so a lot of structures or people, the way they go about doing things in Australia, like doing masjids and committees and organizations and the politics, is actually like brought from overseas.
Yeah.
So we might use different words in Australia, maybe unprofessional, unethical. You know, that's maybe harsh.
Trainers.
You know, no. It's
Sorry.
No. Like not that far, but it's like we might use word, like if you're running like a corporate style organization, then, you know, or educational institute, then you should run it according to the standards, you know, that what do you call it? Top, you know, the top shelf sort of like organization, because your Muslim should be doing the job at the best possible way.
But how many people have that experience from these organizations that are in these organizations? I mean,
yeah, probably very few. That's going
to have a massive impact on it.
Yeah. Like if you haven't worked, like people talking about entrepreneurship or Islamic entrepreneurship, but they've never been an entrepreneur. You know, like how do you even do that? Like how do you actually do that? There are people giving advice on things that they don't know, that they never experienced that thing.
Yep.
So the worst one for me as an imam. No.
Do we need a drum roll?
The worst one for me is when a guy, brother, you have to know how to talk to the youth. You know, because like someone brought up here, and I've gone through all the pain and thing I've got, right? Like, you know, all the difficult trying to practice Islam in high school and among non-Muslims at uni and all that sort of stuff. And just looking at him like, like, what are you going on about? Like you know how to talk, you know, and like you know what the youth in Australia need. Like you haven't even gone to you don't know what happens inside a primary school or a high school or university.
Yeah.
Like we went through all of that and then come out of it. And so when I'm saying something to the young people, like, or whatever, like they know, they get it. The kids get it.
I've
actually
had that many times.
But their parents don't.
Yeah.
Their parents don't know what I'm. They don't know they don't know what I'm talking about.
All the kids laugh, and the parents have just got this stony face, going, "What the hell is this guy just talking?"
Someone
about?
said to me, one grandfather said to me, he said, when I look at my kids in the khutbah, he goes, their heads are up, and they're continuously listening from beginning to end. One of khutbas, you know.
Oh, Shaykh Khalid's khutbah.
No, but it's he actually realized. You resonate with them because you're talking their language.
Yeah.
These guys that are coming goes like they want you to customize their kids, you know, tarbiyah, like cut. It's like a haircut, cut short from here, long from there. You know, like they trying to custom design the tarbiyah of their kids, like according to what they want. And I can never be what they like. I have to tell people what deen is, and through experiences here. But anyway, it's just you get that even at a local level and a family. When dealing with one family or something like, you get this. This is not a normal thing.
But most people,
every Jummah, I have one guy coming give me feedback. Every Jummah, and if you know, and I consider it an honor that some guy, Sheikh, like this is wrong, you know, and you should do like this. One guy swore at me the Jummah at the door of the masjid. Your crap, your khutbah's crap in the door of the masjid. Like, you know, so you know, like,
how did you feel? Do you need a hug?
No, I went to, I did. I went to my dad and rahimahullah, and I went to him, and he came out. He was angry, you know, like he's like, where is he? And the guy did the bolt and.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. We have a problem. Somebody parked the car in the driveway of his neighbor. Please remove the car immediately. Your salah will not be accepted. So please remove the car.
All right, welcome to Who's Blocking the Driveway. So this is one of the segments that we're going to have in our podcast, and we're looking forward to suggestions from you guys as well in the comment section. This is for guys basically that drain our lives. So one of the examples when we say who's blocking the driveway is, you know, the guys that come to the mosque for salat and they'll block 10 other cars when there's absolutely no need to. Or it's not just for the car park. So if there's anything in life basically that you're like, it's so logical, why are you doing this? That type of segment. So today we're going to...
It's not to name and shame anybody specific.
But we welcome the naming. No, we don't welcome the naming and shaming.
But it's just basically certain behaviors that need corrections, inshallah. So
and to start it off, car parking in the masjid.
Yeah,
I don't think there is a Muslim in the Western world that cannot relate to this.
Yes.
How was your experience being with car parking in them? Or are you one of those ones that are blocking the driveway?
Yeah, that's me. No, that's not me. But yeah, that's very draining.
Like, what's the profile of the person who does that, who parks in a neighbor's driveway, blocks cars, parks the imam's car park?
I can tell you the mindset of the person. I've had an experience of the mindset of a person who does that.
Okay.
So this is outside my local masjid. I'm just standing outside. Everyone's going for salat. And, you know, house is relatively close to the mosque. So I'm watching this brother, mashallah, pulls up, parks right literally on the neighbor's driveway. So the guy's car's in there. If he wanted to get out, if there was an emergency, he's not going anywhere. And I remember looking at him. It's like, brother. And like first he tried to ignore, and they go, brother. And then I go, your car park, you're blocking the driveway. And no word of a lie, this was the response I got. What? Brother, you think I'm going to miss my Jummah for these kuffar? And this was and I just stood there looking at this guy just going, I have no words right now. I was furious, but what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, he just shocked you.
If I had the ability, I would have called a tow truck. I'm not joking.
One guy at our mosque, he parked like, it's like a little block of units, but it's all old people, retirees, right? They need to go to hospital. He blocked the driveway.
Oh, no.
It just happened at Jummah time.
No.
So anyway, then we had to go. Then that guy came. I did all my sunnahs or whatever after Jummah. We announced, do not pray sunnah, go right now. So he heard the message. So I prayed my sunnah, chatted with a few brothers. After I said, I'll go to check the neighbors, you know, say hi and apologize to them, you know, inconveniencing them. So I went there, still there. So then I'm waiting there like another few minutes waiting. He arrives. I said, brother, what are you doing?
Yeah, how angry were you?
Yeah.
What are
you doing?
Yeah.
Didn't you hear the announcement? He goes, have a beautiful day.
No.
Yeah. And I go, have a, you know, I just said something I shouldn't have said, but, no remorse, no regret. Look, people do stupid things like on roads and freeways. And sometimes I try to put myself in the other person's shoes. Look, someone could have died in his family. Anything could have happened, right? You know, like he could be going through a very extreme like breakdown, whatever is happening. Like, you know, sometimes
there's an excuse for it.
Yeah, I try to make excuses for them. Like somebody's driving 70 in 100 zone. I don't know why.
I don't make excuses for them.
I checked what type of nationality, which nationality. I look back. I asked the kids what nationality was the person, just see if they fit my stereotypes.
Mate,
But,
I've got a new on that one.
No,
I've got a
don't
new
say anything.
stereotype.
No, don't say this stereotype. But and then like you try to make excuses for people, you know, like
Yeah, I don't.
you know, okay, maybe something really bad happened and he wasn't paying it. It's happened to us as well. But that was like no remorse. He goes, you have a beautiful day. You know, have a beautiful day. You know, and then you just drove off, and I'm like, oh, subhanAllah, this guy's got no remorse or anything like
See,
that.
I would have just started jumping on the car and probably beating the bonnet with my hands or trying to
like,
break.
He's a brother, but some
No,
brothers are just.
I can't.
Yeah.
If that was the response I got, yeah, I would have side mirror something.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a strange thing to do. Like, it's true that if your ibadah worship becomes an obstacle, it's not accepted. So ulama have written on this.
SubhanAllah.
So you're like becoming an obstacle. The crazy one is like the nerve that you have to drive in somebody else's. To park in the
Someone else's property.
non-Muslim's driveway.
Actually, in the driveway or blocking the
No,
driveway?
in the driveway on Eid, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like they're going to work.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's like that's.
Have you had that?
We've had that. This has
you know
happened
what?
repeatedly.
that happens all the time. Where I grew up in Flemington. So I grew up in
Like
the
the
flats.
Australians are
It's
not
just-
having, the non-Muslims are not having Eid.
Yeah.
Aussies are not having Eid, but
and they just park everywhere.
What were you saying about Flemington?
No, because during Eid they have the Eid Salah on the Oval. I don't know if you've what's it called, Demini Park, and they do the Salat there. So everyone from pretty much all around Melbourne gather and just park wherever they can find parking. That's surrounding suburbs, just everywhere, just jam packed.
don't they have a proper car park?
They're all full.
Flemington gets packed. Don't forget how many flats there are.
Maybe you have to spend a bit of money, hire like a little stadium or something, like with massive facilities, you know.
I just think maybe find a better facility to to you know, just somewhere that's a little bit more accommodating. Because I mean, inshallah, one day come with me and check it out.
No,
you know
mate,
what I mean?
I can't. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to cope. Like that, the patience level that's
thing is
required
that
for that.
these brothers, they will never do that. I don't know if they will never do that in Safeway,
No, they wouldn't.
Nah.
like
Or in
Coles,
their own houses, if somebody did that to them.
you know, maybe
But
if you give them a fine, some sort.
No,
you can't ban people from masjids. You can't.
a
Like,
lot-
there's
a
no
lot of
consequences,
masjids-
even if they do that, and they're really like annoying, and
Yeah, what are the consequences?
there's no consequences.
You know
They'll
what?
come back.
You know, once I parked to go. Well, actually, it wasn't me. Somebody that I was with. I'm not going to name names. That particular person was one of these people, and you know.
Oh, so you have an insight
Yeah.
into the at a personal level. And tell us.
And he ignored all my, you know, my plights and, you know, my pleas. Like, surely we can find somewhere else.
Especially you. Have you seen Lata trying to reason with someone that's illogical?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Anyways,
The patience level.
this guy wouldn't have it, and he was just like, "It's my car. This is what we're doing. If you don't like it, get out." And I was just like, "All right, well, it is what it is." So we park in this spot, and it was basically a business area. And what we didn't realize was there was a chain on the floor that was connected on a wall. When we came back, guess what was up? The chain.
Oh, so they couldn't get out.
Couldn't get out, and
And
I was
then?
just. Part of me inside kind of felt bad, but part of me was just like,
I told
"SubhanAllah,
you so."
I told you so."
Yeah, that's it. There's consequences, and you know, our one's a little bit easy. In our mosque is the local police will. We emphasize, and you know, they will come and you know, and we won't
Mashallah.
defend them. They actually, it's they're actually disturbing the like. They're giving a bad name to everybody who comes in the
That's
mosque.
correct.
Yeah. So like 3-4 people who do that out of like 500-600 people. It's a bad, like it's a you know, and the neighbors get upset. Then they're
Everyone
upset
gets
with all of
tarred with the
us.
same
Yeah, and
brush.
they don't
Yeah.
say, "Oh, that Muslim." They say, "Those Muslims."
Yeah. So that's the
That
bad.
Muslim with the big beard and the cap that parked in front of my driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so every guy with a beard and cap is now. Yeah. All right. Did you
What's happening with the vaccine situation?
vaccine?
Coming out. Are we taking it? Lata,
Are we
are
taking
you
it?
ready to take the jab?
I'm on the fence. I don't know. I'm a yes and no, because It's not because I'm a conspiracy theorist and I
Well,
think
you
that.
are.
Well, I am actually. Let's be honest. Yes, I am. But that's not the reason why I'm on the fence. That's because throughout my life, I haven't really. I don't really see doctors.
Mashallah.
I don't. Alhamdulillah. I don't. I've never had a reason to. And the only vaccines that I've taken are the ones that are compulsory. Done at school. I never really went out somewhere and took a vaccine. Unless it's compulsory, then all right, fair enough.
Go do what you got to
Yeah,
do.
got to do what I got to
What
do.
about
but-
those nanoparticles?
What's it?
Mate,
Please.
I don't know.
If anybody, I'll leave 2 links in the description. His brother Abu Isa and from, I think he had a program on Islam 21C.
Yeah, that was great.
So it's an hour and a half discussion on it, and his emphasis, because I think he's
It was
he's
quite
actually
amazing.
he's actually a pharmacist.
Yeah, he's a pharmacist.
So, and then also there's another Dr. Rafaqat, with a doctor. He's himself is a medical doctor and he's an alim from the UK as well.
Inshallah.
They seem to be more on top of the developments from a medical point of view, and the ulama to sort of be in sync in the UK. But the comment section
Yeah.
is absolute vitriol, like it's insulting. Like
To them?
To them, yeah. Because they're saying, look, this is for the benefit of society. Let's get our head out of the sand, and like these conspiracy theories and Bill Gates going to control you and so forth and all that sort of stuff. That's because it's nonsense, and that's my personal view as well. It's nonsense. They've sped up. They explained actually in detail.
Why it sped up?
Him and also Sheikh Nuh Kella as well sent a message recently as well from Jordan. Like he's a Sheikh, mashallah, and he said about explaining why it's done so rapidly. And but other than that, like it's if you have a look at all the discussions on it, it seems that there are some dissenters, but they're an extreme minority when it comes to doctors. They're not a majority. When I say, look, it doesn't mean that the majority is, but it's very rare when you have a consensus in a field, like a general consensus, like the vast majority of the experts of that field, they had a look at the science and so forth, and then they came to a conclusion. That's, in a way, it works in Islam as well, where a large number of people narrate something and agree on something. There's a rule for it. That's more fiqh related and aqidah related, but it is something that is it's the idea that all the experts of that field can be wrong.
Or that they're all colluding into one big conspiracy.
And I've got
so
no
that
medical
Bill Gates can
qualification.
control us.
I've got no medical qualification. And I've got nothing on pharmaceuticals. I don't have no knowledge, and I'm going to form my own view. And
It is usually like the interactions I've had. It is the guys with absolutely no medical training, no. What's the word? The correct word. Anyone without any actually exposure to the people in that group? They're the ones that are the loudest.
That's why even fatwas, like if you study medical fatwas, always the ulama would say, go to a pious or a practicing Muslim doctor, a doctor who is Islamically practicing, he prays 5 times salat, practicing deen, and get their opinion on this. Because unless you're an alim and actually specifically a medical doctor, and then within that, immunology is like a sub-field within that sub-specialization. But no, you can't. And you're like, where are you getting all this information about Bill Gates and what he's put in, and you're going to be plugged into.
But it's there in YouTube. You need to know what to look for.
Yeah, that's just dumb. Like the conspiracy stuff is just dumb. And you know what it is? I mentioned this before as well, but a lot of it is just Muslims who they can't change anything or do anything or won't do anything to help the ummah in any shape or form. And that sense of weakness and feebleness, then we try to blame something that they can't see and connect dots. A lot of it comes from Christians, as far as I know. If you look at the actual conspiracy theories, and so some weird quarters. And it was mentioned in that podcast as well about that. But a lot of it doesn't come from Islam. Like, we deal with the realities of life. Our belief in the ghaib, in the unseen, is on Allah, that He does everything.
Exactly.
Like it's not, the creation can't do anything, benefit or harm. So the people they're stuck in this, like they're saying, well, these people, these secret societies. No, they've done everything to you openly. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They've like colonized the West, colonized your countries. I challenged some alims, not challenged, but I confronted a little bit and questioned, asked them that, like, we've gone down this sort of rabbit's hole in the last 20 years of conspiracy theories. Like, especially when you're younger, it's like very attractive.
Like the show The Arrivals.
Yeah, that was
every Muslim knows that one.
Yeah, and it's like nonsense. Like, half of it is nonsense. It's like truths mixed with lies. But if you actually look, like last 20 years, there's certain characters online, Imran Hussein and others, who basically peddled the signs of Qiyamah, but intermixed with conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And so they sort of tap into ayat al-Quran and hadith and so forth, and they're trying to, Dajjal, like, what was Dajjal? No, Yajuj and Majuj are the British, and, all these
I thought they were the Chinese.
Yeah, that's
Or the
one.
zombies.
That's coming out of the Great Wall of China, whatever. Like, people are just...
Antarctica, I've heard that as well.
Yeah, that's there. That's mentioned in books by very serious ulama, like in the discussions, in the books, But not Antarctica, I'd say, is like a sea of ice to the north or something like that, which is probably Arctic, not Antarctica. We're near Antarctica. We're the furthest away from.
So these zombies aren't going to get us.
They're in the north somewhere, but Allah Alam.
Yeah,
But the point being was that why did we go down that road? Is because we're trying to make sense of the world. A lot of the world doesn't fit in with what we read in books, historically, of Islam. We haven't had khilaf for 100 years.
Yeah.
We don't actually have a position in the world per se. We exist. None of the structures, power structures and things that exist in the world are ours.
Yeah.
And we're sort of like given this khilafah by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then like a, viceroyship, khilafah is given to us, to the, specifically to the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Insan and Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam extension. And then like we can't implement so much of deen and justice and so forth that is taught in the deen because of various impediments. And so then, of course, you're going to, but the power structures that keep you where you are and so forth, they exist. They're in your face. They're not like hidden.
It's not a conspiracy.
Yeah,
it's there.
like you like it's in the Muslim world and so forth. They're like open. They're right in your face.
Yeah,
they're not like hidden. So that's one thing. Like we went down that road. Like we conflated or mixed up these two. That is harmful in the person, the way they looks at the world and deen. And second thing is like somehow the West is like Dajjal, right?
Yeah.
But who said that? Like at what point was Dajjal was coming from the West?
Yeah.
Right. We know Dajjal exists, his shut exists and so forth. And, Allah created him. But when did Dajjal become like someone like, he's like a...
Scott Morrison.
He's in the Pentagon, like, like it's, like we got this sort of like a weird thing. No, Dajjal is real, but maybe this is a separate batil or falsehood or a separate thing that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's not in the Pentagon.
Yeah, like I don't know where he is. And he could have
mind blow.
One of the muftis that came, he said he could come in 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 5,000. I don't know. Like, and that's how we have to say at the end of it. So these people, so then coming back to the vaccine thing. So when your world is like that, so the vaccine is like, they're going to control. They're already like they know.
They
when I said
down.
the government's like, we learn about the NSA and so forth and all that sort of stuff. No, your stuff's already being recorded and whatever.
That's when people say they want our DNA with these testing. I'm like, mate, when you go buy a cup of coffee,
for what?
And you check your cup in the bin, they want your DNA.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm that famous or that relevant that somebody wants my DNA.
What are they going to do with your DNA? Like, you're not like you don't have an IQ of 160. They're going to reproduce, like they need that to reproduce the next like superhuman or something. Come on, man, like get over yourself. Like, you're not that special. You're not that important. You are special in the sense of you're a human being. If you do ibadah, you're created forever. That's special. Allah already told you why you're special, but you don't need to make yourself special. And they're going to control us and, depopulate the world and so forth. I mean, there's so many,
Maybe Bill Gates just wants to build a massive supercomputer using all of the electrical impulses in our brains for processing.
I think
the whole world.
solar power panel will be cheaper. And
How's that for a new conspiracy theory? Maybe we can start that one right here. No, that was a joke.
okay,
All
all
right.
right.
Malana just looked at me like,
Yeah,
he
no.
actually got
It's
no
I
reaction.
think there's a lot of nonsense. So if the vaccine comes, and we've checked with Muslim doctors who are practicing Deen, and the reason practice Deen because there's a trust. These people will do what is right to you by in the law of Allah subhanahu, because they're practicing Deen. They pray the salat and so forth. So when they give the advice, it's an honest advice for a Muslim, bro, because they care about the Deen, right?
Yeah.
And there's no alternative. And this is what's offered. I think there was some objection to younger people getting it because they don't need it because they're usually healthier.
I think the older people should get vaccinated first.
Yeah. So
They're
that's
more at risk.
Yeah, the most vulnerable.
yeah.
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 So all our MPs should be. And someone was. I saw a tweet of this old guy saying, "Look, I'm 70. I don't mind if all the front line workers they get it first, but I cannot like he's angry that these in the US congressmen who denied COVID, they're getting it before me."
Yeah.
Because these guys they were COVID deniers, and because they so. But anyway, that's it's some if it comes and when it comes, but they might it might be difficult. Like some airlines might put a condition that you'll have to have it if you want to travel.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a condition on like working and
Or just even travel anywhere in
just
the world.
traveling.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Before you had like there's what is it? The ones that don't want to wear the masks, and now you're going to be the ones that
Anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, now but this is like this is like anti-COVID vaxxers, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah, so those guys have been activated. They've been growing last 20 years, and now they.
This is the time to come out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This is the time to come out. Speaking of anti-vaxxers, have you heard about in India at the moment? They're trying to anti-vax against intermarriage between different religions.
Yeah, I think what do they call it? The Indians?
It's called the Love Jihad. But it sounds it's a lot more ominous than it sounds.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Right?
Yeah.
Basically, it's this idea that Muslim men are wooing non-Muslim girls in order
It's
to
not
bring
girls;
them
it's
to-
women. They
in order to
are-
bring them into Islam.
They're adult women who decided
Yeah.
to become Muslim.
That's right, and they can't handle it. Now, but this crazy thing is the law, as it stands since 1954, was that if you are one religion and you want to marry another religion, what you need to do is 2 months before, you need to let the authorities know. What the authorities then do is actually make it public.
Yeah.
So publicize it for 2 months, and then you can get married. Now, one of the reasons behind this was when they publicize it, the family is going to find out.
Yep.
So the family will try and stop it
pressure
or things like that. Now in India, what's happening is, which we don't hear about, is there are a lot of people coming to Islam,
Yeah.
right? And even within India, like I think
No, it's the most converts to Islam in the world.
and in Kerala as well. It was also started by the bishops. So the actual first case was brought by the bishops, the Catholic bishops. That because
In India, South India.
which it makes sense because look, you've got
Sorry, against Muslims?
against Muslims because
okay.
because what's happening is a lot of Christians are becoming Muslim because it's the closest. Like I remember one Reverend, he said to me, "Look, I was a practicing Christian my whole life. I believed in it, but there was something missing." And then he goes, "I didn't know anything about Islam, but now here comes something that allows me to believe in Jesus, that allows me to believe in Abraham, in Moses, all of these things, and all it's doing is adding onto it and completing it." And I just looked at him. I go, "Well, that's Islam." He goes, "Well, that's my point." He goes, "Before I became a Muslim, that was the realization that hit me." Now, so what's happening is there are a lot of people coming to Islam in India, but at the same time nowadays, there are a lot of Muslims, guys and girls, marrying non-Muslims. Now, what they're saying is, don't publicize it, right? So you can't publicize it. So you've got two segments. You've got the far right Hindu nationalists that are saying we need to have a law against this, and because this is love jihad. Then you've got the far left that are saying no, we can love whoever we want, free love, all that type of stuff. Don't publicize it. Let us do what we want. But again, it's another way within India of, I suppose, isolating the Muslims or targeting the Muslims. And on this one, everyone's on that bandwagon, which is a bit scary because people are getting caught.
I mean, look at the name. Love Jihad.
Love Jihad.
I think that's more of a street, like people in the
See, when I hear
street, they get
when,
the name.
When the media calls it that,
it depends how you call it. If you call it the Love Jihad, that's a bit scary. But if you go the Love Jihad, that sounds something different.
it does.
It depends how you
sounds
say
cool.
it. But no, it's very scary.
Yeah.
Like it's a very serious thing. And a guy recently got arrested as well because he was trying to apparently woo the wife of another man
Okay.
and run off with her. But the wife of the other man didn't do this. The father of the girl actually put a case in, and he's like, I've never even met her. I don't even know who she is. But what will happen is what they're looking for is people to make an example of.
Yeah.
Because then when one jumps on, and India is completely mob mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to religion. But you have on both sides of the fence though, the highly educated people. They're the ones that will actually be like, okay, let's step back, look at what's actually going on. So we're not looking at far left or far right. I'm just talking about education. But then you have highly educated people that are also brainwashed. So what do you do?
Look, I think whether it's this in India with the RSS or the right wing Hindutva, like that whole movement, or whether it's what the Chinese government's doing to Muslims there, or whether it's in France making laws against Muslims, whether it's what comes out of Pauline Hanson's mouth. When you see these kufr come out in this sense that it tries to attack Islam or the actions of Islam or belief in Islam, like specifically like target these converts to these ladies that become Muslim, that's the main focus of it, right?
Yeah.
They're ladies, they're women, they're like adults, but they won't they won't allow them to go to Islam. And that's a very strange thing because in a way, because in the Quran there's a chapter, they were tested by Rasul. When they came to accept Islam, these ladies, Rasul tested them. They were checked on the iman, whether they're really Muslim or not.
Yeah.
Like they could be running away for some other reason. So they were checked, and there's a surah in the Quran specifically to do with that. These ladies accepting Islam. But anyway, so all of these situations of the Muslims, or in Burma, wherever it is, where they specifically target or attack Deen or Islam or the practice of Islam or the iman of a Muslim, these are all attacks on haqq. They're attacks, so they're coming from one place, right? Depending on how much they're attacking haqq or they're targeting haqq, that's the level of shaitaniyat in them. How much shaitan is behind it is a shaitan, because he's the open enemy.
Yeah.
But he's hidden himself in different guises, but behind all of this is shaitan.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one that gets something. That human being, the Hindus or the Chinese or government, whatever, they're actually losing by what they're doing.
Yeah.
Before Allah and in Akhirah.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
The one that is winning, or he thinks that he's winning, is shaitan.
Yeah.
Because he set up all these situations with his waswas and so forth. So as Muslims, although all these external forms and they're cross continents or whatever, but the reality is, what are they attacking? They're attacking the symbols of Islam, the practice of Islam, deen itself. And when they do that, Allah does give them a muhla, give them a chance.
What's muhla?
Muhla, like a chance, opportunity to make, like in Surah, one of the surahs in the Quran in its last juz, not Surah Ghashiyah, Allah mentions about Ashabul Ukhdud, right? So Ashabul Ukhdud, the people of the trench. Because a trench was dug up. This happened before Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I believe it happened in Yemen or Ethiopia. I'm not sure, one of the two. There's it's mentioned that I can't remember exactly, but this was in Yemen, I believe. But that they dug up this trench. These believers, people became Muslims. A long story behind this, and then they were thrown alive they were burnt alive, right, for being Muslim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I think Mufti Shafi Sahib rahimahullah in his tafsir, I don't make this a dars, but he said something amazing. He said, and they didn't even make tawbah after killing. He said that if they made tawbah, Allah would have forgiven that crime as well. Like them killing Muslims or burning them alive.
Yeah.
That if they repented, they made tawbah, then but they didn't even falam yatubu, because they didn't make tawbah.
Allah says that in the Quran.
Yeah, it's the Quran, because they didn't make tawbah, and they didn't even make tawbah after that. Meaning that if they did, Mufti Shafi Sahib deduced from that, rahimahullah in his Ma'arif al-Quran, his tafsir, that if they deduced from that, that if they were to make tawbah, Allah would have forgiven. And we know that because we know that Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, companions of the Prophet, who killed other Sahaba, like at some point.
Yeah.
There's a few incidents like that. And there's hadith about that as well. That is people that actually fought against Muslims in wars. They raised arms, they fought in battle, trying to kill Muslims, trying to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yeah.
And then they said shahada, became Muslim. You know? So this is the kufr comes in different guises. Behind it is shaitan, and he's inciting them to all these things. And they are themselves, they're not these people are themselves victims.
Yeah.
Like meaning that of course we're allowed to make dua against them. Of course we're allowed to fight them. Of course we're allowed to all those sort of things. But at the end of the day, if they don't make tawbah, they're going to Jahannam forever.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one as a Muslim to have that attitude towards specifically those people are enemies of Deen, and the people that have made it there. So even going back to the Afiq thing, the intention of the Mufti of Anik, he's trying to write that he probably came from a good place, but probably didn't land very well.
Yeah.
And the sentiments of the Muslims have to be taken into consideration as well. That's not sufficient. Like it's also have to make sure everybody's on the same page when you do something. That's why collaboration, working together, is much better, and get all the Muslims on the same page is much better. Like to go forward. But anyway, I think with this whole Love Jihad, they went after the tabligh and so forth. They called it
Corona Jihad. Corona Jihad.
Corona Jihad. They love using. They come up with these interesting names for these different things.
Just put
Muslims.
jihad at the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. Anything Muslims do is like.
I need to start a sugar jihad soon.
Yeah. A what jihad?
Sugar jihad.
Ah.
So we're coming to the end of the year.
Yes,
so this will be the last
New Year's
podcast.
Eve.
This is our third podcast, but it's the last podcast for 2020. What a year it has been. Alhamdulillah, doesn't look like there's any bushfires this year. It seems quiet. There's a few grass fires here and there.
There's warnings out there. There was warnings yesterday in the Mallee and the Wimmera. But look, they're ready for it.
Yeah, but I don't think this, because there was such a big fire this year. I think a lot of the fuel's been burnt, maybe not as much. There's a few grass fires, but this time last year
it was chaos.
Yeah, so I don't think, and it's been raining here in Victoria. So
where was Scotty at that time? ScoMo? Oh, he was in Hawaii. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, he had been working hard, as a liberal said. But anyway, but alhamdulillah, like we didn't.
So you're going to the fireworks in Sydney?
I don't think anybody's got.
What is it? Green zone, yellow zone. Yeah,
like you got to have a pass to go into the city, and you have to specifically go to certain venues. Like you have to register to go to like hospitality venues. Other than that, you can't go.
And the thing is, most of these places are on the North Shore. So the ones that are actually, what it was whoever's got an apartment that overlooks the fireworks, obviously you're in your apartment, or if you've got bookings on restaurants. Now we're talking about Circular Quay, North Shore. Now these are very expensive places. Yeah, average Joe Blow from down the road is not going to be able to go and see these fireworks. But again, you won't be allowed in without that pass, as you said.
Yeah.
And what was it? Even on the outer suburbs, what did she say? She said, enjoy it on TV. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. For any suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. And we'll see you in 2021, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.